Welcome back to Echo Ridge in another episode here in our Max Colonization series, where we've started the Mega Sauna project, or Space Sauna, or Mega Space Sauna. I don't know. An update from our digging that we started in the last episode. You can see we finally broke into this giant steam cavern where all that ice melted, and there are hundreds of kilos of steam, which is good because it's going to fill this entire cavity. Well, eventually. At the end of the last episode, I posed a question to the comments on whether or not we should start the sauna right south of this neutronium. In the end, I decided not to because it would put the bottom floor at this level here. We'd probably go down one just to align with the 4 tile height that is continued on through the rest of our base. Ultimately, though, I decided not to because, well, it would include our somnium synthesizer. And eventually I want the somnium synthesizer online because it will give every single dupe in the star map those bonuses, not just this planetoid. So we're going to keep with the original level and just do some creative digging and pathing around the neutronium. In today's episode, I plan on coring out this entire area and putting our blast shots online. It's going to take a little while and it's going to have a lot of digging. We're also going to have to deal with some of these vents. The hydrogen vent I'm not too concerned about. Oh my goodness, there's 37 kilos of hydrogen in here. I do not want to waste this, so once again, we'll probably put in another liquid lock, get in there, do our business, seal it up, and then we'll have even more hydrogen to add to our growing power footprint. For taming it, we will be doing, well, probably the easiest taming in the world. I'm just going to surround it with metal blocks, and so the sauna itself will keep it below the 500C. Alternatively, we now have access to iridium, so I could just seal it in with insulated tiles and put an iridium gas pump in there. Not really necessary though, because all of the heat generated by the hydrogen will help keep this sauna hot. Here's more of those thick iron deposits, 1500 degrees. This one's 4.5 tons. Where did this iron come from? It's okay, it's about to be hit with a bunch of steam. Now once we do get this whole thing sealed up, I will then take this steam and pump it back into the sauna. We're gonna have a couple of problems because there is a lot of carbon dioxide and stuff in here, and I don't want to lose the steam, but I also need to get some of these junk gases out. Steam's a pretty middle of the road gas though, so for instance, polluted oxygen will rise and the carbon dioxide will fall. So unlike in a normal sauna where I vacuum it out, add water and then heat, in this case, we already have enough heat in here. Oh, good. I was hoping there'd be some iridium in this initial dig spot. It's not a lot, but that will be enough to get us started. Over in our suit area, I've discovered that I want a couple more suits. The 10 that we started with does not seem to be enough. We are frequently empty on the suits, so I'm going to back this whole thing up. I got to move this bridge. That way we're still prioritizing oxygen in here, but then I will bring this down and we'll have one line providing oxygen for 6 suits, and then as a backup on this line providing the oxygen for the other 6. Also means I will need a couple of more Atmos suits out of iron again. We're up to 65 feather fiber units, which means the amount of Rexes we have is working perfectly. Speaking of which, this egg is almost done with its incubation, so our 3rd Rex will be joining the crew and we'll get even more feather fiber. Well, there was our first scalding message. Oh no, Kiku's got a snoring friend? Kiku, where are you sleeping? Callie or I am Pud? So it must be I am Pud because they share a similar schedule. So I'm just gonna take I am Pud and move them down to schedule 5. And sure enough, Pud is a loud sleeper. I am going to be digging out these tiles of iron for a couple of reasons. One, it'll divide the mass by 2, because whenever you dig up a tile, instead of this being 3,100 kilos, it'll end up being 1,550 kilos. The disadvantage of that is the tile actually transfers its thermals to the surrounding environment a little bit better, and oh my goodness, the steam's up to 600 degrees, at least over here where that iron is. No wonder somebody was getting scalded. I think our main ladder shaft for the sauna is probably going to go over here. It does avoid the neutronium on the right side and this infectious polluted oxygen vent, which we are literally just going to box in I am going to analyze it just to the point of getting the databanks, but I have no interest in effects as polluted oxygen. They usually end up being a very small amount of oxygen, but we'll analyze it just to make sure. Sometimes you can build a little contraption here that has a ton of deodorizers, keeps all that O2 nice and clean, and then we can use it for maybe the enclosed telescope up here. I'll see once we get there. Oh no, Josh, how did you even get over there? And how long have you been over there? Full bladder, hungry, and now a sore back. You've got this, buddy. Oh, no, you don't. Nope, stop jumping up, please. Oh, yep, we're peeing our suit now. Way to go, Josh. You just did that for an entire YouTube audience. You know it would be fun? If you could manually assign tasks to duplicants. Then I would have Josh clean up their own mess. Oh, this is going to be one of those episodes, isn't it? Could somebody please dig this out so we can save both Kiku and IMPUD? Unlike Josh, they are not in an oxygenated environment. Actually, if I dig this one... Oh, nope, that's hard digging too. They're just going to jump up here. I might as well not even do that. Let me wait until this one gets dug out. We do have two diggers in both Callie and Josh. Josh is in timeout right now for their previous infractions. Ooh, Llama's ready for another skill. Let's go to super exosuit training. We'll check Llama. How are we doing on the athletics? 9, yep. You can now go outside. The great thing about full exosuit training is that exosuit penalty reduction. Once I get Llama in a suit, I'll show you what it is and the difference. Look at how excited they are to go outside. Now here's Llama looking like Superman. Well, maybe not with the glowy eyes, but if we highlight over the exosuit training, you can see that it eliminates the run speed loss experienced while wearing exosuits. So if we go up to athletics, you can see that Llama still has an athletics of 9, which makes them one of the faster dupes on the colony. If we take a look at Josh, on the other hand, who is one of our oldest dupes, they have an athletics of 15 but lose the 6 for the Atmosuit, which then gets you in the mindset of, hey, why don't we give everybody exosuit training? Well, remember, being in this third tier of morale means it's going to require a lot more morale skill points. I'm still going to try to get, let's say, Callie. They currently have a morale requirement of 13, and there's the +3 for the tier 3. So they now have a requirement of 16. Let's also hook Josh Manchester up. Oh, this is not going to be good. Josh is also into demolition, so maybe we'll just stop at suit sustainability training for now. The difficult thing, considering this is a max colonization series, is we're going to be sending these dupes off-world. And when they go, there's not as much morale bonuses in, say, a rocket or on a new planetoid. That tile was dug out, so now Kiku and IMPUD can save themselves. Well, no, they can't. This is also iron, which requires a tier 1 digging skill. There we go. No, Kiku, you're going to get stuck again. Oh, boy. We're just now getting over into this biome, which is really, really cold, but that's not a big deal. And now Pud's trying to get stuck. What are you going to get? Sand. 17 kilos of sand. I am temporarily putting insulated tile at the bottom here. If I'd use normal tile, it would transfer all this steam heat down here, and I do not want that. Once we get the double liquid locks in, we won't have to worry about that as much. Well, get the double liquid locks in and then pump all this steam out. Speaking of which, let's also build this roof as we go. Here comes all the brine water and ice that's starting to melt. Unfortunately, it's not going to stand a chance because it's going to be hitting these hot iron deposits all the way down. But this is the exact reason why I put these insulated tiles in here. So even if the liquid comes down here, there's no chance it's going to interrupt our wonderful liquid locks that are doing just amazing. I'm going to try to dig through here and let the brine sit in a tile. That way this area stays liquid locked while we at least do the analyzing and sealing this place in. Other than the brine and a little bit of hydrogen, which I can push out, there's not much in here. And once we analyze it, I'll make the decision on whether or not we're actually going to tame this or just seal it up tight. As suspected, all this brine water did not stand a chance and is quickly turning into steam as soon as it hits the iron. But the good thing is it's cooling off the iron quite a bit. The 33 grams of brine is holding, but the steam's coming, so I don't know for how much longer. which will make this a pain in the tuchus to take care of, but it'll be okay. Fallout Stan is doing the analysis, so here in a minute we'll find out how good it is and whether or not we want to strap a bunch of deodorizers on this and get a full seal and be able to do something with that oxygen. The difficult part is we'd have to have the sand being delivered through rails, which is not too big of a deal, but it does complicate the process just a little bit more. We're putting in the framework for our locks, and unfortunately the water made its own lock, except that's not going to really work because this is going to be very, very hot. Water would be fine in this one because there will be no heat there, but unfortunately right now there is a lot of steam. I can't exactly pump all this out yet until I get some of this area cleared, because even if I ended up using a high pressure gas vents still stifle at 20 kilos. So let me actually clear out all this water, let it drain, turn into steam, and then I'll start the naphtha process. Oh, we have an analyzed vent. The brine is still holding. What's also helping is that there's 469 kilos of brine ice, so whenever some of the steam hit, it just melted more. But now there's no steam coming across, so we've got that going for us. Average output of 111 grams per second, which is enough to supply one duplicate enough oxygen. And when I say one, I mean barely one, because it takes 100 grams of polluted oxygen to make 90 grams of clean oxygen. I suppose this will be good for an enclosed telescope up here, and I promised the people we would try to tame as many vents as possible. Now I'm going to try to make this as small as possible, keeping in mind that I do have to get an auto sweeper and everything else in here, but I think it would look pretty cool if I was able to get it only 2 wide. Remember, it only erupts at 347 grams per second. Well, the deodorizer can handle 100 grams, so I need 4 deodorizers in here, plus a gas pump that is able to reach all the deodorizers. Well, I suppose we're gonna make a mess anyways, so it is probably time to get rid of all this brine, everything in here. I'm gonna have to vacuum this out anyways, so I will try to keep this little water lock right here while I mop this out, get the naphtha in. You know, standard operating procedure here, folks. How are we doing on our naphtha supply? Why does that only say 41 kilos? Oh, because there's water up here. Who put water in the naphtha tank? Probably Josh. Now we got polluted water in here as well. Where did this water come from? That's 11 grams. Hopefully we don't have anything off-gassing in there. I'll deal with that later. And then I'll just deconstruct this tile and start mopping this up. And then I can start making some more. How is our plastic supply? Oh, 7, almost 8 tons. There we go. That looks a lot better. These pesky puffs are causing me problems because they keep laying more and more slime. So I'm going to relocate these. Where am I going to put them? Oh, I guess over here is perfect. There's a bunch of chlorine and stuff they could grab once they lay some eggs for some squeaky puffs. Well, here she is in all of her glory. Long story short is the oxygen vent produces polluted oxygen. It has to rise. It goes through these 4 deodorizers. And if you recall, we already did the math showing that is plenty of capacity to make sure there is no regular oxygen up here. Now, right now, there is some hydrogen. We'll end up pumping that out first. On the shipping side, we have 2 lines. One coming in that is going to be dropping off filtration medium. I dropped off a little bit of sand just to get the whole thing started. The second one is going to be able to take all the clay back out. Little bit of a power requirement, but not much. For now, we just had it going all the way back to our base. Eventually, that power wire will be supplied from some transformers in here, but that's it. And it's tamed, so that means it's time to get cracking and go all the way up and make a giant mess. We're having a small issue with the liquid lock because of course we are. There is a bunch of water in here and too much naphtha. Can you deconstruct this for me? The dupes are trying to keep the pressure damage down to a minimum. I had to get rid of some carbon dioxide there, and it looks like this was entirely too much naphtha. But unfortunately, I can't mop this water up. So as ridiculous as this is, I need to put in a liquid pump. There we go, nice and new. The water did help us out with the fact that this is now a vacuum, so I don't have to do anything with it. Now, I don't like it when the liquid locks aren't matchy-matchy, so I'm going to build this in, put in another tile, allow some of it to spill over, and try to hit that perfect equilibrium. Oh, and you got yourself stuck. Well, you're there now. There we go. That's much better. Eventually, we'll have to get rid of all this water as well, but maybe there'll be enough heat here eventually to turn that all into steam as well. I do have way too much naphtha here. I'll have to mop that up eventually. Then we're just going to walk over here, start building down, and then start the massive dig. We're going to have to tap into our limited steel supply, and that is to have an auto sweeper here to load in the sand. What I'm going to do is select sand on the conveyor loader, and then have this musk green storage bin kept full of sand. Well, not really full, but let's say 1,000 kilos. And that way there's always a little bit of sand in here to keep the conveyor loader going. And remember, once again, we're bottlenecking how much sand can actually be delivered in here with the conveyor receptacle. And if I would have thought about this beforehand, I would have just had this rail come straight out over here. In fact, I won't go do that either. I will just use an ugly conveyor bridge into a conveyor chute, and now all the clay will be dropped off in this tile here. And while there isn't a lot of pressure here, I'm going to grab a high pressure gas vent and quickly connect it and hopefully get all that hydrogen out of there. And once we do, then all that polluted oxygen will end up rising, and then we'll just be sitting here with all this oxygen waiting to be used. As the oxygen's used, more polluted oxygen will rise, get cleaned out, whammo blammo. But they better hurry because we're about to make a big old mess straight through here. Just like that, all the hydrogen is gone. So I can seal that, get rid of that, and we're done. Look how nice it looks. In fact, maybe I get an enclosed telescope going right now. It would be nice to start getting some vision on the star map, although who knows when a meteor shower is going to come by and ruin someone's day. We also have all this polluted water, but we also have all this heat getting ready to come out. So let's do it. This is already turning into a pretty fun project. I don't like that the polluted oxygen vent is sort of stuck in our way from traversing directly west, but it'll sort of make sense because maybe we'll have a primary row or a main level, and then we'll have some sub things down here, like maybe the power transformers, and that way they're closer to the main part of the colony. But the duplicates don't need to get down there as often. This steam pocket here is about to combine with this one. It will slowly heat up all this brine. I think we can also start putting in our second layer of ladders. Ooh, I do not want to use shale. At a minimum, I want to use igneous rock. We do have 385 tons. And then when we get closer to the volcanoes, we'll have to switch to obsidian. Please tell me these aren't the last of the Jabos, because then I really do need to save them. Okay, we have some Jabos in here. I'll throw these two in there. I have the Pacu and the clean water tank to make sure that they don't go extinct. Just noticed there's something going on silly with the Jabos. They have 2 relocate to buttons. I had not seen that before. In other news, this cool slush geyser has started to erupt again, and the tank is down to about 29 degrees, so I think we can queue up more steel. I'll start off with, say, 25. We're already up to a ton of lime. And then I'll check back after they finish that to see how the temperature in here is. Remember, when the level gets too high here, this liquid shutoff kicks in and only drains the water from this tank, which is good because we drain the hot water and more cool water takes its place. Oh yeah, this is the mess we're talking about. I'm really not looking forward to a problem in here because I will never be able to mop this, nor will I be able to pick up the debris on these 2 center tiles. Well, this is somewhat awkward. I've put in the insulated tiles for the left side, and, well, these tiles here are going to cause a problem because they are not insulated. So what I think I'm going to do is cover them up so they don't transfer anything, and then we'll get in here and replace all these tiles with insulated. That way we can keep our somnium synthesizer nice and pretty. I am going to insulate this tile going up towards our enclosed telescope. I don't know why. The dupes are going to be in a suit anyways. And oh my goodness, I do not have enclosed telescopes yet? There you are, you little booger. Now there is radiation coming down here, but it's only 125 rods per cycle. Plus, the enclosed telescope, I think, blocks 50% of it, so they're going to be fine. 270? How? Please tell me. Soiled suit, hungry, low morale, sore back. That means they've slept overnight here, and apparently Pud is stuck too. Oh, Pud, how are you stuck? Oh, a little bit of regolith over here, no big deal. Except Pud only has 480 calories remaining. this one's gonna be close. 360 calories is what they ended up with before they finally got some nom-noms. That was a little close. And stress is up to 45%. Is there any more regolith coming down? Research is complete on the enclosed telescope. We'll just put it right there. We'll make it out of iron. You can also see excellent sunburn protection and only partial radiation protection, but there's that 50%. I really do need to get another wire up here, or at least its own power plant, because this one line is all being fed off this main base. Maybe I could separate it a little bit until we get the goodies up here. And here we go, 9060 on the battery, and all I have to do is snip it right there. Oh no, I do not, because now there's 2 generators and no generator on our main network. So we'll just move it like this and then snip it there. Again, this will all get cleaned up. I know it looks like an awful lot of spaghetti. The juice will be worth the squeeze. We're also down to only 14 kilos worth of steam pressure in here as we dig out more, which means I can start putting gas pumps in here made out of steel to start taking all this steam and pumping it back into what's going to be our super space sauna. Yep, that's the 3rd attempt at a good name. And we have more stuck dupes. This time it's Llama and Ettenwalt, who's taking a nap. I tell you what, we can help you out, Llama, by having you deconstruct those, cancel those, and then let me put an emergency on this tile right there. No, what are you doing? This is not what we're doing right now. No, you're on the wrong side, Llama. 1, 2, run, Llama, run! There's no oxygen over there. Oh, good, they found some. Our enclosed telescope is now getting plenty of oxygen, and one of our researchers, Glenn, is hard at work revealing a bunch of the star map. Well, not a bunch, but at least the close area. The good thing is, it will also allow us to identify meteors before they come too. Right now, there's 20 kilos worth of oxygen pressure in each one of these tiles. And you can see the polluted oxygen, which is between 20 and 30, will slowly start rising as the oxygen pressure in here goes down, which gives these deodorizers plenty of time, keeping in mind that they can clean 3 tiles down, hence the reason why this entire row is nothing but pure oxygen. Our pumps have started taking the steam out. Now keep in mind there is 66 kilos worth of steam pressure in this area. I understand it's going to take a while. I'm not too concerned, but by the time all this is done, I'm sure this area will be done. Hey everyone, Editor Echo here. Unfortunately, Recording Echo recorded this episode entirely too long. And by the time you watch this, I'm heading for a plane flight, so I needed to get something out this week. So here's the dreaded To Be Continued. I hope you enjoyed this episode and are looking forward to Part B of Episode 14. And hey, if you're hurting for more content, just watch it twice. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.